Thank you for joining us. This is Live with Miami's Community News, and I'm Michael Miller. Our very, very, very heartfelt special guest is Michelle Shirley with Be Strong International. Michelle, thanks so much for being here.
Of course. It's
and you are my favorite lady. This lady has branded herself and Be Strong International like crazy. Chief Heart Officer right here.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. So now we have the sign every time we see, people, they give us the sign.
It's true. And it really says something about our organizations. When you get something that people can get into, right? Do you remember that? Because they'll say, yes. What was her name? But the lady that does this. So let's hear about Be Strong International.
For sure. Well, thank you for having me again.
Yes.
The organization's been around really for 30 plus years. People are shocked when I say that because they're like, you look 20-something, right? But really it started in 1992, and it was because of a school teacher. She got pregnant at a young age. And so she decided to, give back to the community and talk to kids about just healthy relationship development, how they need to focus on their school work and making sure that they are just choosing the right friends, going down the right path. Of course, today we've evolved so much more into the programs that we serve. But today we're all about just how do people understand what it means to have meaningful connections. So we're working with youth today, parents, married couples. We have the social enterprise that we're going to talk about, I'm sure. All of that work.
So I had the pleasure of meeting the young lady who started Be Strong International, a little lady about like this, right? I wear hearing aids. The music is blaring in this place. She couldn't probably hear me anyway, and I couldn't hear her. I'm holding her hand. And I said, look what you started. Look at all this, right? It was really significant for me to look at that person that cared enough to step out and to do that. But why you at Be Strong International?
That's so good. I came to this organization, I would say, young, energetic, but still not grounded. And so I think what she saw in me, I didn't see in myself at the time, but I really fell in love with the work. And at that time, I was struggling in my own dating relationships. I wanted to be married. I came out of a home that was abusive and was divorce-ridden. And I knew that I landed here and it was going to be something different for me, but I couldn't figure out just what. And over the years, I learned so much about myself, self-awareness, how to connect with people, looking for the right partner and all those things that people struggle with even today as adults. And, she felt that I was the best candidate to do the job.
But you didn't see it. At that point, you didn't see it.
I didn't see it. I felt it was too big. I felt it was too big for me. And I just came in with the mindset of, I'm here to serve you. Of course, she was up in age. And I just wanted to serve her.
So what did she see in you?
I wish she was here to say. I would say that, nonprofits go through a lot. Even our current climate now, there's just a lot going on with fundraising and trying to raise money and seeking grants and hoping that you get them. And I think when I decided to stay, even when the money wasn't there, meaning that I took a pay cut so that she could do the things she needed to do because I believed in the work, I think that solidified for her that it was more than just a title, career, money. I really thought this was something great that she was embarking on.
And so did you at some point.
Yeah.
So tell us about your level of fulfillment in helping so many people.
Oh, man. For us, one part of our Heart Skills framework is this moment in time where people get it's an aha moment. And there's this revelation where you realize, you know what? I've been too busy for my kids. I need to slow down. I need to listen. I need to give my teenager the space to talk to me without being so hard on them. Some people feel like, you know what, I need to invest more in my marriage. I've been busy. I haven't been communicating, or I haven't even been listening well. For me, what resonates with me is when you hear about those testimonials from people that enjoy our program, and that aha moment for them becomes like, I want to turn my relationship around. I want this to be better. I want joy in my relationship. That's what motivates.
So tell us about some of the programs that you offer.
It's good stuff. So our youth program is our most amazing program, I feel. We go into the schools all across Miami-Dade and Broward County, and we're talking to them about relationships, about dating, about your love language. We're talking about, how to break up with someone, what a toxic relationship looks like, what are the red flags in a relationship. So very unique programming because the kids today are trying to get all of their, information really from, social media and from other influencers. And so that's a pretty amazing program. For parents, it's all about how to raise responsible children, how to raise resilient children. If I just had a baby, what are the right things I should be doing? We do a lot of courses with parents on raising their children well. And then we are excited about our program recently, our married couples, where we want them to keep the spark alive. Like, why did you get involved and get engaged or married in the first place? What are those things that you feel you should be working on now that you've missed because kids got in the way, or maybe you're taking care of parents, maybe you're just busy with work. And then, of course, we have a lot of community work that we do around our social yaks game. So pretty cool.
And we're going to get to that in just a second. You said earlier about the climate as far as donations, just to catch people up. 2 months ago, Mayor Cava from Miami-Dade County said there was a pretty big deficit, and they decided to cut back on most, if not, on most not-for-profits. She did come back a little bit later and funded a lot of it. But she's also said, don't expect it next year.
Right. Yeah.
What's the plan, boss?
Yeah. Right. Well, first, let me say Mayor Cava has a heart for nonprofits. And so I know it was painful to her to have to think about how she would, deal with these nonprofits that were in this hard space, right? Trying to figure out what they do with the funding opportunities presented to them. I would say that we are positioning ourselves to constantly think about ways that we can generate revenue. And so I think that's why we, a few years back, thought about this social enterprise space. What could we market and sell that people would want and could enjoy? And at the end of the day, people are always looking and researching about how to make their relationships better. And they may not go to therapy. They may not be on that far extreme end. So what can we do to bring joy to people? And I think that's where we're headed now, where we're moving into that space of more products, more corporate entities reaching out to us, because we've been South Florida Business Journal Best Places to Work, right? So that's a big deal.
Yes.
So corporations now would reach out to us and say, hey, how can you replicate the same culture, the amazing culture that you have with our corporation? So that's where we're winning big.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
And most people may not be aware, but Mayor Cava came up in the not-for-profit arena. And when I sit down and talk with her, you just feel it from her. She doesn't even have to say it. You just know that. And so I know it was pretty painful for her. But everybody's got fair notice now, right? I'm sure it was a shock to everybody. Yeah. And all that stuff trickles around. But you know what? That when you put your head together about how to replace that, there's a lot of other stuff that will happen because that source dried up, and it'll make all of us better.
Of course.
And when anybody that's in business gets that.
Yeah.
I mean, stuff changes, right? And we think about the simplicity of McDonald's in the 50s, McDonald's restaurant. People would go in and they'd sit there with the family. And then in the 70s and 80s, they had the playroom where the kids could go and play. And now most of the McDonald's are tiny inside.
Yeah.
And you have your cell phone, and you don't mind waiting on the car thing. And they're open 24 hours a day for the most part. So everybody sort of adjusts with that. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about, can we go to the website? Let's talk a little bit about one of your card. And it's not quite a game, all right? It's called Social Yak. I did play that with my wife and actually with my grandson also. Oh, nice. And so there's questions on it, and which was really pretty good. And when I was reading one of them, I said, let's change it around a little bit. You answer it also. And so my grandson, I'm not answering this one, I'm not answering this one, I'm not answering this one. But Susan and I have that connection. And from that moment when they would ask things that probably we never shared.
Yes.
And it's like, and you feel it opens up. It may close back down again, but you know what? If it's open just for a moment and let a little sunshine in, amazing things happen.
It's beautiful. And that's exactly what we want. We want this level of connection to be so meaningful, so authentic, and yet the game is intentional about the questions that it's asking. Okay. And that's what we want couples to experience.
And I think we have it on the screen right now.
Of course.
Why don't you talk about that people can see that?
Yeah, so it's 4 different levels, of course. We named it Social Yaks because the yak is actually as big as strong as it looks. It's a very social animal. People don't realize that. So that's why we call it Social Yaks. It has 4 levels. Each level you go deeper. And the last level is where it would flip, where you would pull a card and the group would answer a question about you. And that kind of teaches people how to be empathetic towards one another, listening throughout the course of the game and understanding where someone is and giving them a little bit of encouragement because you've opened yourself up in those 3 levels. And so the 4th level is kind of like sealing you and sending you on your way, feeling great and understanding that you've been able to connect with someone well.
So when we answer those questions, we feel for a moment pretty vulnerable. Yeah. And we wonder, why do we feel that way? And then why is it that we're hesitant in letting somebody know? Yeah. And what you realize is you gain strength from that.
Of course.
And the confidence to be able to share that.
Of course.
And it certainly did for that evening. It was really good. We got to keep doing it, all right? Yeah. And you realize that can help keep the families together.
Absolutely, absolutely. And even with teams, believe it or not, I always tell people when people change jobs, it's a life event, right? It's just like making a car purchase or purchasing a house. It's a big deal. And so you're joining a team. You're trying to acclimate into that culture, that environment. You don't know anyone there. You're hoping that you do well in the 90 or 120 days. So we tell businesses to purchase the game and use it as an onboarding tool where people on that team get to know each other and get to open up. It's pretty good.
And on the website, people can go on the website. They can find out more about you.
Absolutely.
There's also a button that says DONATE. You can do a one-time donation. You can do multiple stuff. Yes. And so it's really easy to do it, all right?
Yes.
And I know you appreciate all the people that have been donating to it. You have an office in Palmetto Bay.
Yes.
Tell us about how, I think the city named a street after you guys.
Yes,
that's
amazing.
In Palmetto Bay. So tell us about that process and why that occurred.
Oh, wow. So we purchased our building about 2 years ago, which was a really exciting feat for our organization. We had never owned our own property before. So with that said, the board said, well, what could we do to really solidify that this is going to be our home and we want this to be our campus? And so I had reached out to Mayor Cunningham and just said, hey, what do you think about this? And she's like, you know what, for all the work that I know you do well in this community, and I've heard about, all of the amazing things that we've done, she said, you know what, I'm going to present it and let's see what happens. And sure enough, the council voted. And we were elated, like floored, like, is this really happening? And unfortunately, the founder had passed about maybe 3 or 4 months prior, but we blew up her picture and we made sure that her spirit and her presence was there. And it was a beautiful event. And it's funny because Mayor Cunningham said that it was the largest turnout for a street naming that Palmetto Bay had ever seen. Because,
really?
We are in droves when we roll with art skills and, sharing our work with everyone. So we really... thanks to Monica and the team.
Who's right over here
yes,
somewhere.
Who's behind the scenes now. Yep, taking pictures and recording. Amazing in leading that effort. But it just speaks volumes to the work that we plan to continue to do and the way in which we want to build out around Palmetto Bay and have a larger campus eventually.
So let's go over again some of the programs that you offer and how people can become involved.
Absolutely. So we have youth programming. So principals, educators, counselors can reach out to us and they can book a session with us during the day for those courses. The family component for parents, where parents can learn all sorts of skills. Parents ask us all the time, like, oh, when is the right age to give my child a phone? I can't get through to my child. What are some tactics or tools that I could use? We have those answers and those resources to support them there. So they can join an online workshop, go to our website, and they'll see the calendar of bookings there. Married couples definitely can reach out on our website and click a button and can sign up, and then they'll go through an intake process. And then, of course, if there's a corporation or a HR executive watching right now who would like to leaning more into incorporating healthy workplace culture and dynamics, definitely we're there, and they
So
can be.
companies can hire your organization,
Absolutely.
come in, and you meet with the group that they wanted you.
Absolutely.
Years ago, part of the half-cent sales tax, Jackson Memorial Hospital had a you can meet with a psychologist 9 times a year, or 6 times. So we scheduled it from September to like March.
Right.
The whole place was going to the sky right here. So the first time he came in with his jacket on and tie, an hour later, it was a little looser. 3 hours later, the jacket was off. The tie was down here. At the end of the day, his head was spinning. And one of the things that they wanted to do was to have a management team in a group. I said, we have to have everybody in that. I said, because these are all the people that are affected, not just the 5 leaders in there, right? And it was really, that's when I realized how good that was, where I sort of stepped back and I could watch the interaction with the people that typically would not have much interaction. Yeah. So I know that you do those type of things.
Oh, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
Are you one of the team leaders, if you will?
Yes, I am. Mm-hmm. Especially if it's an executive team, high-level team that really wants insights from me as far as how I've changed the culture over the years, made it better. I think the awards alone speak to the work that we do. When you have people saying, especially in the nonprofit sector where salaries are different from the for-profit world, right? And people are still saying that they enjoy working there and that they want to be there and that they feel valued. I think that speaks volumes, and I think that's something that can cross over into any workplace, right? So I do take lead on those sessions as needed.
I want you to think about some folks that were that were participating. I want you to think about a family or a child or the mother, dad, whoever it was, that it had a huge impact on them and on you. Think about them, all right? So tell us about that.
Wow. I remember there was a time where I had to go into the schools and teach these lessons. And I was still the chief heart officer at the time. We were a little short on staff, and I had to go in and get back into the classroom. So it's like asking a principal, right, to go back into the classroom for a second. And I remember just going a little bit over my story. This was a low-income school, low-income area, and the children there looked like me, and I think came from a lot of just the spaces that I was in as a child. And so this one young lady, she started tearing up, and she started saying how, she missed her father not being in her life, and she wanted to one day be that better adult, for her family. She aspired to have a family. And I think for me, that really touched me, because when you're talking to children, they know how real you are, and they know if you're fake. They know if you're not real. And I think for a young person to open up in that way and share something so intimate in a class of 30 plus kids and be that vulnerable, but understand that she could be the person to break that generational cycle that she was a part of, to me was transformational. And I think for me, I'll never forget that moment. And I think even as teachers, even though they may not be teaching the work that we do, teachers sometimes forget, the pay is low. Sometimes we feel like we're not valued, whatever those spaces are that we're in, especially when we're dealing with children. You gotta know that kids are listening, even when they're rolling their eyes, even when they have an attitude. They know you care. They know you're there for them. They know that you are willing to take a chance on them and believe in them. And so I think that's really important for leaders to remember.
Michelle, you mentioned that sometimes these kids, they can be the one to break that cycle. Is that a conscious awareness, and is there a discussion about that? Or is it just like tootle on and they happen to do that?
No, there's a conscious awareness. I think the level of depth in which we go talking about strengthening their heart skills and them really taking a step and looking at the decisions that they're making and thinking about their circle, their sphere. I think they start seeing really quickly like, there's some breakdown here. that I would want to change going forward. And these are the steps that I would like to take. And we have amazing testimonials, written testimonials from kids that are saying, because you came into my class and spoke to me about these really heartfelt, deep issues, I want to make a change for the better. I see a light, in this dark place that I'm in, and I want to get out of it. And I'm hoping that I can make that shift. So, yeah.
When I was at Miami-Dade College a few years ago, I was failing in class, and the teacher said, "Professor," said, "what's going on?" I said, "Well, I started moaning." And she said, "Come on, we have a special class." Okay. So I go. I'm 20, I guess. Yeah. And I go. It's her office. There are two desks in it. I'm at one. She's at the other. I said, "Where's the class?" She said, "This is it." She said, "What happens? What's the problem?" It was an English class. I said, "When I start writing, I get frustrated. I pull that paper out of the typewriter and I just crumple it up and throw it out." Here's what she said to me. This is a long time ago. "Michael, the next time that happens, don't you just stop, pause, and wait a minute and start again." Here's this teacher. In that couple minutes, from the time she recognized it until those words of wisdom were there, that's what I do now, except for it's a whole lot easier. I just do the delete. Yeah. And so many people, they get to that frustration level, and that's where you come in and help them get over that hump. And there are people that I know that they're are going to be the first ones in their family to go to college and to graduate. Yeah. And it's like, that is significant. That is a real conscious awareness on that. And I would happen to be, right, and then in my family. And there's a lot of people that have come to the United States that they're going to be the first ones. Yeah. And I remind them, I said, you have to do this. Yeah. This isn't just for you, right? And just remember, it's better to be unemployed with your master's than with a bachelor's. So just keep going. Just
right. You'll find something.
Yeah, it'll happen that way. And years ago, when my father asked me what I wanted to do, I knew, but I said, I don't know. I said, I don't know what I want to do for the rest of my life. As I was saying it, I realized how ridiculous that was. I was 20. Yeah. And then, so on the side of our building, up front, his answer was this: "Michael, why don't you do whatever you want to do and do the best you can until you don't want to do it anymore, and then go do something else." Wow. So similar to what the professor said was stop, pause, and start again. And so I think that's one of the things that we all need. And we see that. Don't worry, you're going to be able to make that. Yeah. So my hat's off to you and to your team and to Monica to be able to share and to care, because you're really making a huge difference. And there's some little girl who's going to be watching this. I want to be like her, all right?
Yeah. So, my kids, like, yeah, they want to be chief heart officers. I'm like, no, you got to do something else.
Okay, we're going to wrap up here in just a moment. I know that you've had people that have helped you and have been your mentors, over all these years. If you'd like to say something to them now, you can look right into the camera. Which camera should she look into? This one right over here. Talk directly to them.
Well, I have quite a few mentors, I would say. Of course, the founder, Miss Althea McMillan, passed away. And I would say, thank you so much for investing in me and seeing the genius that I have, even though sometimes as mentees, we don't see it in ourselves just yet. And I think that's the magic of the relationship between the mentor and the mentee. So hats off to you, and hoping I can make you proud and leave a legacy behind that you'd be proud of. Yeah.
Wonderful. And a very learned rabbi told me once, when I asked him, we were discussing his book, and it was called The Joy of Intimacy. I said, "Rabbi, I had this moment of pure intimacy with my wife, holding her hand. How can I get more of that?" Right. And he said, "Michael, it's all about them." Yep. Michelle Shirley, thank you so much. Congratulations to you. Love you. Yeah. Monica, thank you. And Tony, thanks for what you do. Remember, folks, we're going to look at, let's look right in this camera over there. Which one? Oh, this one here. Let's do what the Disney rule is. In case you don't know, the Disney rule is when you hug somebody, don't stop until they do. Have a great day, and thanks for joining us. Bye now.